The Walking Dead Season 8 Episode 6, The King, the Widow, and Rick. The King, the Widow, and Rick returns to a multi-narrative format, following several of the show's key players as they navigate the aftermath of recent battles and prepare for the next stage of the war against the Saviors. This episode focuses on leadership, sacrifice, and the difficult choices that must be made to ensure survival. Rick's mission to the Scavengers. Rick, Andrew Lincoln, heads back to the Scavengers junkyard in a bid to convince Jadis, Pollyanna McIntosh, and her people to join the fight. His proposal is simple: help us defeat Negan, Jeffrey Dean Morgan, and earn a share of the spoils. However, Jadis remains characteristically cryptic and skeptical, forcing Rick into a precarious position. His lone approach to this negotiation shows his willingness to take personal risks for the greater good, but it also highlights how fragmented the alliances remain. Maggie's leadership at the Hilltop. At the Hilltop, Maggie, Lauren Cohan, faces her own leadership challenges. With a group of captured saviors in custody, the community is divided on how to handle them. Jesus, Tom Paine, advocates for treating the prisoners humanely, arguing that they represent an opportunity to show mercy and rebuild trust. Gregory, Xander Berkeley, on the other hand, pushes for a more ruthless approach. Maggie's decision to keep the prisoners alive but under strict conditions illustrates her pragmatic yet compassionate leadership style. Her ability to strike a balance between justice and mercy further establishes her as a pivotal figure in the fight against Negan. Carol and Ezekiel's diverging paths. Over at the Kingdom, Carol, Melissa McBride, tries to rally the community in the wake of Ezekiel's, Kari Payton, crushing losses. While Ezekiel has retreated into self-imposed isolation, mourning the lives lost in the Savior ambush, Carol steps up as a voice of reason and strength. Her pragmatic approach to survival and her determination to keep the kingdom moving forward contrast sharply with Ezekiel's grief-driven withdrawal. This dynamic sets the stage for a potential leadership shift within the kingdom. Carl's encounter with Sadiq. Meanwhile, Carl, Chandler Riggs, encounters Sadiq, Avinash, a lone survivor struggling to make his way in the dangerous world. Their meeting becomes a discussion about the value of human connections and the risks involved in helping strangers. Carl's willingness to extend a hand reflects the compassion that still exists within the group, despite the brutal realities they face. Sadiq's introduction hints at his future role within the broader community, adding another layer of complexity to the group's dynamic. Themes of leadership and redemption. This episode highlights the various forms of leadership within the fractured communities. Maggie's firm but fair approach, Carol's determination, Rick's willingness to risk it all, and Ezekiel's internal struggle each reflect different ways people cope with the pressures of leading in a post-apocalyptic world. The theme of redemption runs through the episode as well, with characters like Jesus and Carl reminding their groups that mercy and trust can still have a place, even in the face of war. Memorable moments. Rick's tense negotiation with Jadis and the Scavengers, showcasing his confidence and persistence. Maggie's decision to keep the Savior prisoners alive, illustrating her moral and strategic leadership. Carol's tough love as she tries to pull Ezekiel out of his despair. Carl's interaction with Sadiq, hinting at the larger role human kindness will play in the coming conflict. Conclusion. The King, the Widow, and Rick provides a reflective pause in the relentless pace of the war. By focusing on the personal struggles and leadership decisions of its main characters, the episode deepens the emotional stakes and reinforces the theme of community. As the survivors prepare for the next phase of their fight, the episode reminds viewers that leadership comes in many forms, and that even in the darkest times, there's room for hope, redemption, and unity.